Welcome to another episode of the BLS podcast. I'm David Choi.
I'm Joseph Terry.
I'm Sam Sullivan.
I'm David Estes.
I'm Hi Tam Cherry.
And I'm Emily Witten.
And welcome to the first podcast of the 2018-2019 school year. This is gonna be another good year. So, Sam, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'm going to start off with just some general news about BLS. Next week, on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday is the 60 fair, club fair, and the Wednesday is the club fair for everybody else. So we will be attending, and the BLS Podcast Club will be represented. On Saturday, which may or may not be after this podcast this may be before or after this podcast is aired, but there is a BLSA 5K for fun. You can register for that if it hasn't already happened. There's an open house on the 27th for parents, and right before that, for parents of kids or people in class 2 and 3, there is an SAT informational meeting for free at 5 p.m. before it happens. And then finally, the community service fair is on the October 2nd. So if you're looking to get any community service, you can go attend that.
Alright, so, the main reason why all of us are here today is to talk about the new economic inequality project for 10th graders. This is a recently assigned project in which we study the economic inequality of Boston. It's studied by a bunch of different schools, and in April or May, some select projects will be displayed at the Edward M. Kennedy Institute. So since we're all 10th graders, we're all going to be doing this project. So does anyone have any suggestions or ideas about this new project?
I have no suggestions or any problems with the thing. I'm looking forward to it. It's probably going to be a good thing that we have the chance to be known, our works to be known. So that would be cool. What do you guys have to say?
I feel like some people might argue well, why do we have to do this? There's already a bunch of tests on it or whatever. People just researching the inequality, so why do we also need to research it if it's already done? But I think it's a really good way to actually open our eyes a bit more to the world out that's just more outside of school and outside of our own houses, and just the general economic standpoint of our city, which is just really interesting for rest of us to see and may give us a different view.
And I feel kind of going off of that, it's really cool to get an in-depth view of our own city and know and find out things that we didn't about the people around us, or what we can do or what we should do to help other people who may not be as well off as you, or how other people, or the solutions to a problem that isn't as publicly stated as others.
One thing's for certain, though, I think that people, just regardless of income, should try to keep an open mind when working with their group mates from out of school, because they might not be as well off as you, or they might be a lot better off than you, and that can really just make resentment flare up, and we don't really need that in a project, especially when we're going to be potentially presenting it to the city.
I definitely agree with what Emily said. It's definitely a very hot button issue. There can be a lot of emotion surrounding it. So I think it's important to keep a cool head when discussing it. But I guess to look at the more positive, fun side of it, this would be a pretty cool project. Kind of going around and seeing, examining the world around you, and looking at how the city of Boston functions and works, kind of almost as a machine. And it's interesting. This summer we read Evicted as part of our school reading, and I think that book went very well into kind of how the city of Milwaukee functions and how it like kind of like there's how like all the different laws and how all the different like regulations kind of go into how the city works, and I think that it'd be interesting to see how the city of Boston works and how the city of Boston relates to that and how it might do some things better or something similar to how Milwaukee did in that book, which, spoiler alert, wasn't very good.
Yes, yeah, yeah. To kind of add on to Joe, like most of us have been living in Boston for almost our whole lives, so a lot of us know the city pretty well. So I think this is really like a really interesting idea of like, because I think, well, my teacher said that this is not going to be just something that you like just fill out or just like type on the computer. We actually had to go around different neighborhoods and do some research. And I think that's just gonna be really cool. Just getting to know your city better through just this project. So
It's also going to be very interesting because I think this is one of the first projects for the class of 2021 where it's very hands-off for the teachers. We just get to interpret it how we want, we get to present it how we want, and it's going to be very interesting to see what people come up with.
Kind of explaining that a little bit more. So what's going to happen is, we're not, the general topic is economic inequality, but we're going to be going in depth and choosing our own projects in groups of about 5. So, and then we can present it in a number of ways, which I think adds a new way or a new level of interest, because you're not confined to like a certain way of showing or having people interpret your research and work. So yeah.
It will also be a really interesting thing to see people of different backgrounds actually bringing together their own viewpoints and sort of collaborating and combining all their efforts and different opinions to actually make a really whole project that will probably say a lot more to it than what other people might think. And looking at each other's projects, it would be really neat to see their viewpoints as well.
Yeah, it's very well-rounded, the project. At least that's how it should be. But it's good to get a lot of perspectives for the past week. We've just been going over in class different perspectives and how if you only have one perspective, you're not going to get the whole story. And that clearly is the teachers trying to just show that this is how the project will be done.
Also, like, since this is the first year that they're doing this project, like, we have a lot of we can take this a bunch of different directions.
And we have nothing to go on either.
Yeah, so I think that's really cool. Yeah.
Does anyone have like experiences that could help them on this project, I suppose? Because I know myself, my mom is absolutely big on protests. She goes to a lot of protests. I remember going to Occupy Boston with her, and she was very big on going to different protests against the 1%, like we are denying 9%, that stuff. And I think a lot of that has influenced me, and is definitely gonna help on that project. I was just wondering if anyone else has done their thing.
My family, we were gonna be well off, but then my dad became disabled. So now my mom just really has to pick up the slack, and she has for almost a decade, and I think that's just really gonna put things in a certain perspective for me. And it's really gonna just put it out there.
My experience is that my mom's a landowner, and so she has property that she lets other tenants rent out. And I know from seeing her that she works really hard to make sure that the apartment is suitable and comfortable for the tenants. And I think the Evicted book kind of vilified landowners and made a lot of the tenants seem innocent. But from my personal experiences, I know that it's not always the case.
When you say landowner, it kind of sounds like something from the Middle Ages.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a few dollars.
I don't know.
David's mother runs a feudal estate.
Dude, we let all these
Forget all those
I'm trying to
terms.
think of like some
Yeah,
historical
I forget
reference I
that
can
stuff.
Do you live in a manor?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
for
think-
me, I guess it's kind of like
Sigh.
I don't really like. I'm not really like. I'm not really poor, I guess. Like I don't really like that sounds terrible, but like, so like, yeah, my family's like, I guess like relatively middle class, and like, but I guess like it's kind of hard to like live in the city of Boston and like not notice that there's like massive economic inequality.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at sorry to interrupt you,
No,
but
it's
like
fine.
if you look at Jamaica Plain, it's like just very different. It's a bunch of like very high income households, and then a few blocks away, Forest Hills, and it's the discrepancy is amazing, really.
Oh my god, yeah, yeah, I would totally agree with that.
I think another interesting thing, like talking about like the differences between communities, is that in a lot of communities in Boston, like, you know, there are a lot of like ethnic communities, like you have an Italian, like the North End Italian, and like, you know, Hispanic East Boston. You have different, like, you have like stereotypical like ethnic places, right? And then in a lot of those places, like a lot of people just don't want to leave because they feel more comfortable. And you know, I think it would be interesting to research like how that affects
Income, yeah.
you know, income and just how it affects, you know, the separation of Boston.
And maybe the upkeep of housing too. I feel like that's also very important. Hi Tam, what do you feel about that?
I have nothing to say.
Thank you.
So,
No
I don't know.
experiences.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess like in relation to you guys, you guys from Eastie, right?
Yeah, we are.
So like, I guess like what I'm trying to say is like, I've literally never set foot in East Boston.
I've never set. Actually, I've set foot in Roslindale.
I don't really
Like,
know where
yeah.
anything is. I just
And I
know
guess that
this.
kind of highlights like how like divided Boston is by neighborhood.
Yeah.
I want to say one thing. You know why? Well, all right. Well, first off, it takes a long time just to get to Roslindale.
Yeah, true. That's also
Yeah.
a big
Yeah,
part.
I
live
can
there,
attest to
vice
that. I live in
versa.
Roslindale. It's
Wait,
just,
yeah.
people live there?
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah. I live in
I live there,
Roslindale.
and anytime that like my friends want to hang out, it's always downtown.
Yeah.
That just makes me reluctant to go because it's always just like an hour away, and it's just like I hate public transit though.
Kind of going off, but back to Joe's point, you know, I feel like, you know, East Boston is kind of hard to get to because why would you go there? Though I do live there. And you know, it's across the harbor. It's an interest. You know, it's work to get there if you don't really have a reason to go there. But at the same time, you know, like that has, you know, caused a divide because you have people in East Boston who don't really leave East Boston, and then you have people downtown and like in the other neighborhoods of Boston who just don't go to East Boston because they don't have a reason to. So you know, that I feel like that applying to other neighborhoods, you know, can like is, you know, one of the reasons that it leads to, you know, segregation kind of the neighborhoods.
There is nothing out there. Not exciting.
I'm trying to think of a reason why someone would go to East Boston.
To go home.
There's
They
a cool
hang out
stuff
with
to
Library. All right,
To
the
hang out with
library.
me.
You don't live in East Boston though.
Like East Boston has like awesome like random like restaurants and like
Yeah.
random,
No,
like,
Yeah.
the thing is,
like boutiques and stuff.
I don't even know where East Boston is.
It's like right next to Charlestown.
No.
I don't know where
Or
Charleston.
not right next to it, but like
Through Chelsea.
See,
Yeah.
that's it. Really shows. I live in Roslindale. I don't know where these places are. Actually, I don't think if I had a map in front of me, I don't think I could point to where places are, where districts of Boston are. I really couldn't, and I think that'd be like an interesting topic to see how economic divides just create this sense of mystery with other
My
factions.
I'm just bad at geography. I forget the streets close to me very often.
Oh, yeah.
And that's very sad. Even though I should remember that. I even forget my cousins. It's
Just-
not okay.
Just like when we start driving, just won't know where anything is, you know, just taking random turns.
if we start
Hoping for the
driving.
best.
Alright, so is there any like anything else that
Yeah, I guess a thought that I had was that like it's kind of like, I mean, I could probably go through like all the different neighborhoods and all their different identities and stuff like that, but like I just think it's really interesting. It'd be really interesting to see like how people from different neighborhoods look at this project in a different manner, and I think that will really show kind of like, in a way, it will kind of confirm how how divided Boston is in terms of like, and I love Boston. Boston is like literally. I would honestly hate to live in any other city.
Yeah.
I really like Boston. I think I would stay in here my entire life.
But then again, like there is like something deeply wrong with it in many ways.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, Boston's, you know, it kind of.
There are always those like good parts and bad parts. Boston, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason I'd go out of Boston is to either see family or go to a Hardee's.
Hardee's? What's Hardee's?
Oh, alright, well then.
Tell us how you do.
Alright, so
So like
This
a
is
Chick-fil-A or
important
something.
podcast.
yeah, it's like this burger place, and it's not in the U.S. It's not in Boston. It's not. Oh wait, In-N-Out isn't in the
Yeah,
in
there's a
the
song. Like it's like In and Out when I'm in the West.
no In-N-Out
In-N-Out
burger.
is on the
The
West
burger
Coast.
place.
Yeah,
It's a
that.
burger place.
You know,
And-
Tim Hortons, guys. Tim
We'll talk
Hortons.
about
Tim Hortons
Yeah,
is
we'll
awesome.
talk. All right,
It's
we'll talk about it
Canada.
some other time.
Can that just be like an
I-
entire topic?
Yeah, can we just
I
talk
really
about
love this.
burgers for
No,
one?
yeah.
Can we establish a list of the best burger places?
Well,
That
that's
would-
also
that we don't have to
subjective.
do it now,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying that
Yeah,
we can
future
set that as an
I'm just-
agenda.
I'm faithful to 5.
I'm really hungry now. I don't think I've eaten
Oh,
all
God,
day.
yeah.
All right, if we want.
So yeah, going back to the main topic, I guess. Does anyone have any conclusions for how they view this project or how they view the news that we went over in the beginning? Any opinions on that?
It's gonna be very
Assuming from
eye-opening.
everyone, most people shaking their heads, I'm gonna say no.
Thank you. Okay.
You're
All right.
welcome.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so that's,
Peace out.
I guess
Just-
that's
just-
it for the podcast.
remember to come to the club fair. If
Sign
you're not
up.
signed
Yeah.
up, tell your friends, subscribe.
Become
you
a
know,
part of the
To our
Uh,
Instagram and our podcast,
Yeah,
our YouTube.
and comment what you think about what we talked about.
yeah,
Also,
the
maybe-
project.
Click that bell.
Also, free gift cards.
All right, yeah.
No.
Okay, we'll see you.
No
in the
free
maybe
next
gift cards.
episode.
No
interesting
free gift
parts of
cards.
East Boston.
Zero
I don't
hours.
know.
Advertisement. False advertisement. We're gonna get sued.
All right. Bye.